So everyone, welcome to another episode of Airborne Sealife. Before we get too deep into all of this particular episode, we want to offer a content warning. This particular episode, we're going to talk about a song that has elements of suicide and self-harm. We will give you every warning as to when it is coming and to when, if you want to skip over those particular elements. We will put that in the description. We will put a skippable option in the episode. But we're also going to put some resources at the end of this episode that if you or someone you know are struggling with suicidal ideations or anything that you think that you are not worthy of being in this world, we're going to put some resources in the episode description. You are loved. And you are worth sticking around because it takes some real strength to keep moving forward. As always, I am Brendan Sloan. Joined with me, as always, are the following.
Hi, I'm Yusuf Rashid.
You seem very confused about that, which is concerning.
I don't know if you guys are football guys. Do you ever see like how football players have their intros during games? Famously, Tony Gonzalez, when he was playing for the 49ers, his intro was looking dead at the camera, confused and going, "I'm Tony Gonzalez?" And then there's the other guy.
There's the other one over there.
Yeah, there's
do
that
an
guy.
opening that's just that Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah.
That's what that's based off of, to be fair. So yeah. Anyway, hello.
I'm Manuel. Hello.
He is Manuel. Welcome to Airborne Sealife. So we're doing a follow-up of our interview not too long ago with Hank Salva of currently with Protest a Hero and previously of the Human Abstract. We just did a Human Abstract episode. And we've got, well, you can guess what the second thing is that we're doing today. But of course, we always start with the news.
It's Iron Maiden. What?
Brendan, new Iron Maiden. Where? Brendan, what's the news before we get distracted by good power metal?
We're going to get distracted by good power metal, but we have a bit of a Fred Durst thing going on today.
Fred Durst?
I know, but
anyway.
It's more around Limp Bizkit and a missed opportunity. You see, 7-Eleven makes actual hot dog water flavored water a reality, and Limp Bizkit is nowhere in sight.
That sounds disgusting.
Let that sink in. Let that sink in for a moment.
I hate hot dogs to begin with, and like,
it is a tough. It is a tough convincing.
Some of the comments on 7-Eleven's Instagram post for the drink are great too. Highlights include: is this Limp Bizkit approved? What's next? Chocolate starfish? And my personal favorite: who needs IPAs when you got dog water?
Let's dive into the article a little bit, and we're gonna get on here. Yes, 7-Eleven, this is the article for Metal Injection. Yes, 7-Eleven somehow missed out on prime new metal revival marketing by teaming up with Limp Bizkit to name their new Big Bite hot dog drink after the band's 2000 record, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. No use of My Generation, My Way, Rollin', Air Raid Vehicle, nothing. It's a legitimate beverage.
Not using... That is a crime.
Now, let's get the obvious out of the way. This is a real beverage. This is legitimately on 7-Eleven's account. It might be in preparation for April Fool's Day coming up next week. I don't know. It's a little early for this prank. People might be mistaking a very early April Fool's joke now that I'm looking at it, but this is
It is a bit early for April Fools.
I mean, we're like
much.
April Fools is like
more details
literally...
on the availability of this flavor will be revealed on April 1st.
There it is. Have we been punked?
I think we've been punked. We've been punked.
However,
it is objectively very funny, though.
Well, here's what I need, though. I need them to make one. I need them to make one actual can of this. I need them to send it to Fred Durst's house. And I need Fred Durst, the first show of their next tour, to just chug it on stage.
Well, here's the thing.
What happens after is up to him.
Here's the thing, though. It's time immemorial since the beginning of April Fool's Days that corporations who end up making a dumb product, and then it gets like such a reaction, they end up making that product anyway, just because like, haha, it was joke marketing. But since you all showed that support, we're gonna make a run with it. And
so what we're really saying is go harass your local 7-Eleven about it.
Make it very known your desire for hot dog flavored water.
Don't actually harass your local 7-Eleven.
This, by the way, is not Airborne Sealife approved.
It isn't.
No.
This is not even a sponsored product placement. This is just...
But it could be. 7-Eleven, get at us.
At this point, I'd rather be sponsored by Fred. Actually...
you shall receive, Yusuf.
I don't... Would we?
I think that's a scary road to go down.
Speaking of bands that I love,
yep.
Brendan, what are we talking about?
So let's wind it down for a moment. We're going to look at the time signature in it, but we're going to get into a pretty heavy song today. One that there was universal... what the hell is it? Universal energy about on our end. Gardenias by Protest the Hero from their most recent album. And
for context, we were figuring out what we were going to do for this week. And Manuel says, well, what if we do something following the Hank interview? We're like, okay, so one Digital Veil, one Protest the Hero song. So Manuel already picked Digital Veil. That was easy, right? And we were like, cool. And I was like, all right, now what Protest the Hero song could we do? I say, as I think in my brain of their extensive discography, because I could just say any song because I love that band. However, we made the smart decision of letting Brendan choose because I would just take too goddamn long. And he landed on, as he said, Gardenias from their 2020 record, Palimpsest, which, man, if you want an album that is wild on all fucking ends, like musically, lyrically, everything, that is a record.
It's an experience.
It truly is. And I do want to say this. When that album came out, they dropped it without warning people. Like, everyone knew that Protest Hero was working on a new record. This was 2018 when they had done the Fortress 10th anniversary tour. And if you got VIP to that tour, then you would get a download code for when the eventual new album came out. Now, because COVID happened and Rody blew his voice out after that tour, they had to delay the process of that album by a fair bit. So on a random day in June, middle of the night, I'm just awake playing video games, and I see an email from Sheet Happens Publishing. Shout out to Sheet Happens Publishing. Love you guys. Love all your books. Love everything you do. And all it says is download code for Palimpsest. And I go, excuse me? What is this? Lo and behold, there's the new Protest the Hero record. And taking a listen to it and getting to Gardenias, every song is its own experience. Gardenias is one of those songs where like you have to be ready for what's about to happen. And I not just musically, but lyrically as well. Like
it's intense.
It's an intense song. So Brendan, shall we?
Well, I'm not Brendan. Hello, I'm Brendan now. Go on.
It's a good person to be. It's a good person to be.
Okay.
All right. I'm glad you believe in yourself.
Should we talk a little bit about the background of the song and get into the details of what we're looking at here? Or how do you want to approach this?
So I think I would personally like to get the unpleasant stuff out of the way first. Like, it's
the stuff
heavy stuff, and the
heavy stuff that we don't necessarily.
This right here
we
is
get into the music afterwards.
Yeah.
This right here is your content warning then, in that case. At this point in the song, we're going to talk about some pretty heavy stuff. There may or may not be a graphic here that we're going to put in later. But at this point, if you have issues around discussing issues of self-harm and suicide, this is the part in the song to skip. We'll put a timestamp somewhere in the description or up on screen where you can skip over this part. And if you don't want to hear the subject, we're going to approach this reverently and respectfully, but we just want to let people who have issues around the subject know that this is the time to skip. Go ahead.
So, Brendan, if I remember correctly, you do not know what this song is about.
I know better about now what it is, but this would be a good time to prompt the context of the song of what's going on.
Yes. So this song is about Peg Entwistle, who was an actor in the 1920s into the 1930s, who unfortunately jumped off of the H on the Hollywood sign in September 1932. So that having been said, I cannot believe that Protest the Hero pulled this off, because I'm going to read the first verse here. And please keep in mind it was the H. The hapless hills of Hollywood hide half-hearted happiness. A hardened heroine hangs her head. Hear her hyperventilate. Here her hands had hammered home her half-written history. What?
Uh-huh.
It's intense.
Yeah. It's intense in the fact that it's a pure alliteration based on letter H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we go later, she was discovered when a hiker found, I believe, a shoe, a handbag, and the suicide note, just in the woods. So there's a direct reference to that later. If I can find it, yes, a handbag and some women's shoes hidden on the forest floor, discovered by a hiker on the hill. Haphazardly hanging out was her self-destruction and her handwritten history. Also, just some of the best lyric writing I've ever seen. And as some of us know, and as many of us can find out, the height of those letters on that sign is 45 feet. So the entire, bottom third of the song, that it's 45 feet from here to there, it's 45 feet through the air. Again, direct, not allegorical reference to what happened with this poor woman.
So it's funny. Okay, I don't say funny like funny, haha. Sorry, but I the third part of this song is interesting because I don't know if Rody ever talked about this. By the way, if you are a Protest the Hero fan, or if you want to get more into the band, or like you want to get more into like the ins and outs of like certain lyrics, Rody does run his own podcast called Podcast the Hero. I know, original name, right? Clever. And over the last few months, him and his co-host, Old Fritzy, have been doing a thing where they'll pick a song from Protest discography, and Rody will talk about the writing process behind it, the musical process, and he'll talk about the lyrics. And a lot of the times, like back then, he didn't really handle lyric writing. Other members of the band did. But for this record, he handled all the lyric writing and handled everything. I can't remember if this was ever confirmed by Rody Walker himself, but the third act of this song apparently is also a double entendre about Donald Trump.
I would believe it,
because the beginning of that section is the where is this country I came here to find? It's running its hands through my hair. Its borders and boundaries are clearly defined. It's 45 feet through the air, 45 being the number of which Donald Trump was president, right? Only the night sky will, and then after that, like, yes,
it also works because she was Welsh. She was born in Wales.
Yeah, so there was that as well. And then the other part is about Peg Entwistle, where only the night sky will witness my flight without so much as a care. The more I read these lyrics, this is a dark song.
It is a dark song. We should also recall that, like, they're also not taking any political stances in the song. We're just
they don't. Yeah,
of course. We also, as a podcast, are just like, listen, this is just what the interpretation of the song is. We're not standing on any bandwagons here. We're just giving you our unbiased opinion of what we're seeing within the lyrics.
Yeah.
Important context, everybody.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And there's something, the way with the lyrics, but there's the way that vocalists will give their interpretation of the lyrics for songs, the way they phrase things, that can make it so interesting. And the way, like, it is all credit to Rody here for having written all of these lyrics, and like, Jesus Christ, man, it is something. But just the way he phrases it through the whole song, like there's moments of fear and stillness, especially in the last part of that song. As it gets quieter and quieter and quieter, you're sort of, there's that like aura of I don't want to say mystery, but just more of like, it's sort of pulling you in a way.
And I think a large part of the song for me, just listening to it the first time, this song is I know it's a bit of a cliche to say, but it's like an emotional roller coaster. Like in the beginning, it seems like the progression of the vocals and the progression of the tone is very narrative, in which, what did I write specifically about this? It would be really cool if this would, there we go. It starts off as, I don't even know how to describe it, almost upbeat in the beginning of the song, but then it becomes decreasingly discordant, almost like it's scoring a mental breakdown of some kind, is what I interpreted from it. And
which it is.
It is. Like, it really is that. Like, given the context of what the song is about, it does such a great job in conveying what I think they're trying to portray as a mind going from normal life to wanting to be completely devoid of life. And it's almost handling this. It's unapologetically in your face of exactly what it wants you to see. It's not meant to be something where it makes sense. It's something where it shows a tumble into something that is outside of your control. And listening to it after the fact, it's almost like Penny Whistles. It's almost like they're trying to take that man and give you his screams and cries for help outside of time in the modern age. Like, this is a song that's telling a story about someone who desperately wanted to be heard. And it was a really, truly, that I didn't fully understand why at the time it was this way, but there was clearly some kind of message. And given the context of what you shared about the song, it makes so much sense as to how powerful that this is and what it really means to be going through an unimaginably horrible internal battle. Because I think that's what the song is. When we talked about Niebla Viscaris being like this old ancient battle, this is a real modern battle that exists today for so many people. And I think that's why the song resonates, because I don't think I've met any people who have not had at some level that kind of mental battle. You know what I mean? It's something that is unapologetic. It is reverent in its handling of it and doesn't flinch, handling an immensely horrifying idea. And I think this is why this song really stuck with me. It's a real gut punch of a song, a real hitting you where you live kind of song.
Yeah, it's very real. That is what it is. And it, last mention of this, I think, but the line, "I'm afraid, I'm a coward, I'm sorry for everything," is literally the note they found on her.
Yeah. Gosh, this is definitely one of the more intense lines of thought that we've had in an episode, but I think that, people should be able to have these discussions, so maybe fewer incidents like it would happen.
Yeah.
No, it's good, and it isn't. It's an excellent handling of the subject in a song. It's very, like, it is unpleasant. The song is designed to be somewhat unpleasant, which is, it should be, because this is not a good subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what a song! What a good song!
It,
A tremendous song.
Lyrically is one thing, and I gotta give, bias aside, yeah, they're my favorite band of all time, but like, the instrumentals on this song and on this whole album, incredible. They took it up a notch in a way that I didn't think they were thinking about doing, but man, just like everything about Gardenias, and like I don't know if you guys have listened to any of the other tracks on Palimpsest, but one thing is, sorry, the track before it, Mountainside, which is it's a minute and like 10 seconds long. It's an instrumental track, just piano and strings. I believe Tim is the one that plays piano in it, and there's a beautiful orchestration underneath it. It's this gorgeous, oh man, Mountainside. Anyway, yeah, it's this beautiful waltz that sounds like you're sort of like going up a hill, and like you're going to the mountainside to like enjoy this view almost, right? And then it has this lovely ending. It just stays still, and without really feeling like it's a transition, that opening snare hit of Gardenias comes in, and then it just punches you right in the gut. Like, oh yeah, here we go, boys. And you're like, oh, where the hell did this come from? But from a musical, like from a instrumental perspective on this song, it's such a fun riff. Like just everything that's going on, it's very Protest the Hero, but it's also so like how do I politely put this?
Rip the Band-Aid off, man.
I don't even know how to rip the Band-Aid off right now. It basically is, it's in a way I can describe it as like, it feels very bouncy in the weirdest way possible. In that, like, it's kind of like what we had previously talked about this when we were talking about Digital Veil by the Human Abstract. It's just like a punch, but instead with this, it's like a flurry of punches that are just going, and it's paced out very, very well. And Manuel, would you?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of Protest. I think it's just the punk influence. They're just relentless. Every song is start to finish, just bam, and it keeps going. It's like getting hit by a train, and the train keeps going.
It keeps going. Yeah.
And I've talked about this with Yusuf before, but one thing I love about this band is that they will do the most like bonkers guitar lines you have ever heard, like peak technical ability, craziest sweep picking and tapping that has you heard in a long time, and then they'll just bury it as a background element.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's such a like, yeah, we know kind of move.
Yep. That band confuses me sometimes because like genuinely I think they're one of the most underrated metal bands in the world. I think that them being like one of the biggest progressive metal acts of like the early 2000s influenced a lot of what we hear now. But then their whole thing of like, yeah, we have two incredible guitar players, but we're just going to surround it with everything else going on because we can. And this song's a testament to it. There's a whole lot of other stuff on this record that is a true testament to their whole shtick. And it's crazy because, talking about how it is like, it's like being hit by a train, but the train keeps going. This is a great example where it's almost the opposite. And I say that because of the end of Gardenias. As it gets quieter, you have that bum 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 boom bum bum. Rody's got those soft vocals coming in, and it just dissipates. It's like a ghost almost. And you're like, huh? That's not like the soft, like that's not like the bombastic kind of ending that most people are used to. And I will say this. The way this band has evolved over the last like 2 decades or so at this point, a lot of people like to look back at what they had done on Keziah and Fortress and a little bit of Scurrilous. If you're into Scurrilous, a lot of people aren't, but that's okay. But a lot of what they're doing now, especially with what they had done on Palimpsest, I think a lot of that writing structure they really took from when they had done Volition in 2013, and then 2014 it came out with proper song structure, but every song has its own way of ending. It's not just the what was the prototypical Protest the Hero formula, where it's just, I will punch you through multiple walls and we will not stop until all the walls are down. No, at some point you hit that last wall, and that's when you're like, okay, I'm done punching you. The like Skies is my best example of like, it ends on a soft note. It doesn't end with like, it has that bombastic, truly like final boss ending that Protest the Hero is so good at writing, and then all of a sudden just dissipates into nothing. And it's the same way I feel about Gardenias, where, it's got these wild drifts, and then all of a sudden, rather than just fading immediately into nothing, it's slowly but surely going into just disappearing from existence.
Yeah, I think this song is just I think it's just something that's meant to be fleeting, or like it's just I don't even know how to quantify it. It's just like you go through this whole in the beginning, like I said, it's like a ride. It begins nice and kind of upbeat, then goes through this complete disassembly of order, and then it just fades out. It's this perfect allegory to how fleeting most things are in this particular world. It's meant to be, or I think you could also argue that no matter what kind of problem exists, it's going to be temporary. Like the chaos is just emblematic of a situation that I think that a lot of people have lived through. But then, almost as abruptly as it begins, it's just gone, and all you're left is remembering of what went how it all went down. And I think this song is a great illustration of that sensation.
Yeah, I would really like I would really like to challenge writers and bands and composers. Like, think about form. Think about, like, before you even start writing notes down, how can you get your idea across just with the shape of your song? And, like, can you come up with an ending that isn't the one everyone does? Can you, can you bring across an emotion just by the way, like, you navigate through your ideas? There's a few songs like this one that are very, very good places to look for that kind of thing.
I'd like to go left field with it for a moment, because when I was in college, that's right, I have my own college. I'm I did go to a college, just not a fancy music college like you two guys.
I think you made the better choice, but yeah, carry on.
No, my choice was graphic design, and that's why I work in IT now. So there you go. We had a video game design class, and my professor didn't start us off by designing video games. He says the very first thing that you're going to do is make a board game. And people are like, well, I came to this class to make a video game, so why am I doing this? And he made a very good point that stuck with me on a lot of things. If you cannot convey your message through a board game, you're not going to be able to convey it through a video game. You need to be able to express an idea with something that is a fundamental level, something that without the bells and whistles, you don't need them to express your idea, a minimum viable product. How can you express an idea on that bare minimum bones of something? And I think that this particular song takes that concept and runs a marathon with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it totally does.
I mean, that's kind of like that's kind of the whole, I guess, the protest of the hero way, if you will. Yeah. It's like running a marathon. However, insert thing here is kind of been their whole shtick. Because they will gladly go out the gates, like come out of the gate swinging. They always do. But then there's something in there where you sit and you're like, what? And then it's back to the marathon.
Did this happen?
Yeah, you're like, where did this come from? And then it's back to the marathon as if nothing happened.
It's a marathon with a t-shirt cannon full of ideas that's fired into the crowd of spectators.
Don't give any ideas. I'm fully expecting Rody to have a t-shirt cannon on their next tour.
But if they do, I'll know I'm the reason why, and that's why we're doing it.
No, you know what? Like man, that band's something else, man. Like, and this song of this album, I think is it's a testament to the maturity of all of them as individuals, in the way they're able to write lyrics, in the way they're able to convey a message, in the way they're able to tell a story. Because I think a misconception with metal music, especially talking about the way it conveys, like the way music conveys a story, is that it's fast. It's just there's all this crap going on. It's like you can't really understand the story. You can. You just gotta know how to keep up with the pace. right? And bands like this, bands like, Dream Theater is a little more paced out because their stuff is like on average 4 hours long. You got to understand how to keep up with the pace. And I think, yeah, exactly. Thank you. You just got to understand how to keep up with the pace. And the way that Protest the Hero is able to tell this story of Peg Ant Whistle in only the most Protest the Hero way they can, I think speaks volumes about how they are as songwriters and as musicians, and that they're able to, still tell the story about this young actress who unfortunately took her own life in a very harsh way while also keeping their just still same, hey, yeah, we're here. Okay, everyone get the bats out. Just start swinging at everything you can in only the most Protest the Hero way they can. And it's a beautiful song, man. Gardenias is such a pretty song, just as a whole, Dark message, yes. Dark story, unfortunately, yes. But
I don't do a necessary one.
Yeah.
Sometimes those stories need to be told.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes they need to be told, and I'm glad they told it.
And I'll say, if you're watching this episode and you're also having that kind of a battle, this is your clue that you are worth being you. You are worth existing. You don't need any more reason than that to be sticking around than that reason right there. And I think my co-hosts and I will agree that it's a good idea to have all the resources that they can need right in the description of this particular video or wherever you're listening to this still.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah. Right, any other things we got to talk about in regards to the second greatest band to ever come out of Canada?
I think we've covered it. I think that this is basically all that we can possibly say about it for this particular episode has been said, unless you have anything fancier that you want to throw at it.
Not really. I mean, if you want to check out more of the stuff, Protest the Hero, there's their, I say most recent. It's been almost 4 years now since this record came out in 2020. It's called Palimpsest. There's a lot of really great stuff on it. Gardenias is one of them. Soliloquy is another. If you want a great song about the story of Amelia Earhart, The Canary is one I would highly suggest. Again, they've got like all their other previous records are something to behold, truly. Yeah, I think we're good to go here. So I guess we can close out the goal. On that note,
I'm happy.
On that note, you can find us as usual, Airborne Sealife on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post content occasionally there, mainly shorts, just little funny things that happen throughout the show that we think is hysterical and also worth watching. You can, all three of us are here. We have our own individual social medias, but we don't really plug it as much now. I will say, just as a side note, since we did talk about Protest the Hero today, if you live in Southern Ontario, like I do, not these two are losers, but if you live in Southern Ontario, like I do, Protest is going to be doing a small run of shows at the end of May across the western part of Southern Ontario. So check those out if you happen to be in the area and happen to, really like the band. But on that note,
go harass Yusuf.
Sure. Don't do that.
Go be his friend, but with high stakes.
Yes. I could go for a steak. Anyway, this has been the Airborne Sealife podcast. We will see you soon. Goodbye.
And don't forget our social media, Yusuf.
I plugged the social media.